Revelation 1067. From the 23rd of August 1939. Entry into the afterlife. Influence of the light beings. It is God's will that the gate to eternity should not frighten anyone. But man's will all too often takes a different path and turns the entrance into the hereafter into an hour of deepest fear and abandonment, instead of an hour of blissful joy. And the goodness of God has shown him the right way countless times in his life on earth. But because the will of man may not be touched, the Father in heaven always restricts himself only to indications of all kinds. But not that man is forced to go a way that leads safely to the goal. And so man is able to shape the hour of separation from the body shall to joy or to suffering according to his own will, and he will not ever be hindered in his will. What trouble and effort it costs on the part of the light beings who look after every human being, to lead the earthly child constantly on the right way, if it does not consciously pursue its high aim. Which is to be seen from the fact that these beings constantly surround the earth and constantly let their spiritual power flow to the earthly beings. If people would willingly surrender to every impulse of the heart, it would be easy for the beings looking after them, to form people to highest perfection. But how seldom does an earthly child live in the clear realization that he should only live on earth for his perfection, and how seldom does it result in a complete integration into the divine will. People would much rather lie down in the fight with the thoughts that want to impose themselves on them, which would like to influence the human being in that direction. What they should do to live pleasing to God, mostly does not appeal to them. They do not think of the end of their body and their therefore imperfect state of their soul, but only of the body and its well-being, and it is therefore incredibly difficult for the light beings to exert any influence on such earthly children, and therefore the help which can be offered to them is very limited, although it is available to them without measure. But man believes that he does not need such help, because he thinks himself strong enough to build his life, and he does not really think about the actual purpose of life. Behold, this is mankind's great mistake, that it trusts its own strength too much, and is therefore proud and arrogant. The right faith must be manifested through humble existence. The less man trusts in himself, the more he desires help. And help from the light beings is truly the right thing to hope for. The earthly child has to struggle beyond belief, and its strength would prematurely slacken, if spiritual help would not be available at any time. And this spiritual help also warns against too quick judgment, if it seems as if the Lord chooses for his work on earth, spiritually educated people, that is, well instructed by perfect beings. This view could strengthen people in their opinion that the will of God assigns this or that office to the human being and that it is therefore irrelevant how far the human being's spiritual state of maturity is. Oh no, every human being must struggle with all his strength, once for the knowledge. And this struggle is particularly difficult and therefore to be emphasized. And then for the submission of his will and unresisting submission to the divine will. Only the one who sacrifices his will to the Lord, is chosen for an office that is of special importance. But the struggle of every human being should lead to the fact that the human being abandons himself to his spiritual helpers and thus lets them lead him on the right way, which leads through the gate to eternity, that is to heavenly bliss with fullest certainty. And you will not need to shrink back from the hour of death, but it will only mean a release from the physical shell for you. Amen.